Welcome back, guys. It's Fantasy Football Anonymous. I'm Joe Osno here with Rob Shaw, Matt Schroeder. Going to be going down our favorite fantasy plays of the week for Week 9. Already halfway through the fantasy season, which is absurd. Time really flies when you're having fun playing fantasy football. Rob, who are some of the guys that you love this week?
Okay. We're going to start on Thursday night. I love Tyrod Taylor. Kelvin Benjamin, I don't really know if that's going to make much of a difference. Heck, if he'll even be ready. But they're playing against the Jets, and I love his scrambling ability. It just always gets him points. He's been very solid. There's some more obvious choices this week that I could go with, but I'm pointing out Tyrod Taylor. Just because I think he's one of the guys who most likely he could have a top 6 week, be one of the top 6 guys. And I think this game is going to be competitive. I think they're actually, they could actually trail at some point. It's possible. But I like Tyrod Taylor this week. Love Lamar Miller. Oh my gosh. I always forget, he's a pretty good running back. And now he's on a great offense right now and only going up against a not so good defense. So I like Lamar Miller. I like them to get out early. Joe, you said it in the earlier episode, to get out early, and they're going to have to, run the ball, try to run some clock. Yeah, Lamar Miller. Will Fuller 5 as Will Fuller V. I said it last week. I said he's going to do it again. I'm riding him till he stops, and I suggest keep doing that, especially with this match. It's such a good matchup. I don't know why you would bench him at this point, but he's really surprised me. I didn't think he was going to do this well, but yeah, keep playing him until he shows you otherwise. And I like Travis Kelce. Going up against Dallas, coming off a monster week. I think he's a solid play. You can't miss. If you're doing daily fantasy, he's a tight end you can rely on this week.
You stole one of my guys, Rob. We both love Lamar Miller this week against the Colts. It's hard not to love a running back against the Colts. And the way Schroeder's laughing, I think we might have all picked the same running back this week. My quarterback, I went with Drew Brees. Now, we talked about him not throwing as much, but against a weak Bucs secondary, a weak Bucs defense overall, I think he throws a couple touchdowns in this one. And this is a week where he looks more like his old self, even if that's not I don't think that's going to be the trend for the entire fantasy season. And I went with Dez Bryant as one of my favorite wide receiver plays of the week. He's one touchdown away from that all-time Cowboys record, and I think this is a week they try to get it to him. They're playing at home. That crowd's going to go nuts if it happens. So I think he sees plenty of targets, especially towards the goal line. And I like Cameron Brate. I talked about it earlier. Those outside receivers for the Saints are outside corners for the Saints are pretty tough. They've played pretty well so far this season. I think the middle of the field is going to be more open for Jameis Winston as I think he's trying to erase a deficit. What about you, Schroeder?
There's going to be a lot of repeats on this list. Alex Smith is my quarterback against the Cowboys. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. He has a ton of weapons. I really like what he can do. Lamar Miller, we've already said it. He's facing Indy, and he's had a very good year. You're going to be playing him, and you're going to be playing him as RB1 with confidence. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins from the same team. I'm facing him in 3 leagues, so he's no doubt going to go off against me. So he's going to have a very good game. Lastly, I'm going to be picking Zach Ertz as my tight end that I love against the Denver Broncos. If there is one way to beat the Broncos, it is through the tight end. They've had a lot of tight ends put up pretty big games against them. So I like Ertz to continue his scoring ways in this game. So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love that you say that every week about the Denver Broncos.
Yep. I got to get it in people's minds. They have to understand.
You're absolutely right. And it bears repeating, so good job on that.
Over and over. All right, since I don't want you guys to steal my hate list, I'm going to say mine first. All right?
Go right ahead.
Derek Carr this week against the Miami Dolphins. Look, Derek Carr has been bad this entire year, except for 1 or 2 games. He's not a guy I want to play against a better than you would think, even though they didn't really show it last week. Miami Dolphins defense, even whenever they got 40 points against them, it wasn't the secondary's fault. It was a lot of Baltimore running the ball and a lot of Miami offense turnovers and defensive touchdowns. So I do not like Derek Carr to have a good game this week. If you had listened to our last show, you'll also know that I'm not big on Jay Ajayi the rest of the year, and I do not like him this week. As he gets integrated into an offense, I do not think he's going to get the carries, and it's also against the Denver Broncos defense. It's just not a good situation for him. In the same vein, Alshon Jeffrey. There's one thing you don't do to beat the Broncos, guys. It's throw to the wide receivers. And Alshon Jeffrey is a wide receiver, unfortunately, not a tight end. I'm fading him pretty hard in all the leagues that I have him. And lastly, tight end that I do not like this week is this could be an interesting selection for you guys. I'm going to say Jimmy Graham. This guy isn't putting up the yards. He put up 2 touchdowns. So obviously he got you the points last week, but I like to rely on guys that I know can have consistent production. Right now, that is not Jimmy Graham. They're throwing the ball a lot to the wide receivers. The wide receivers are getting a lot of yards. Jimmy Graham, you're kind of hoping for a touchdown, and this week I'm going to say it's not going to happen. So we'll go ahead and go to Rob. Who do you not like this week?
I don't love Jameis Winston this week. I said it earlier. I think this is going to be surprisingly a little more low scoring, and I think they're going to run the ball. Y'all pointed out the very talented corners for the Saints. So I think it's going to be more Doug Martin. I don't like him. A little tempting with thinking the Saints defense is still horrible. It's hard to remember that. They're actually, okay this season. I don't like Adrian Peterson this week. Yes, I know he's going up against San Francisco, but Philly and that good offensive line, they had struggles running against San Francisco. It was, or as my note says, Sir Tuggled, as I told the guys earlier. But yeah, so I'm just not buying into Adrian Peterson this season. Had that one great game. I just think there's going to be opportunities, but I don't love them this week. I know it seems like a tempting matchup against San Francisco, but I'm staying away from them. Julio Jones. I love what I've seen out of Carolina's defense, and Julio Jones, while he had a good week last, really been amazing this season. He's ranked barely inside the top 20 in wide receivers. Big name. Don't love him against this tough Carolina defense. You're probably going to still have to start him. He's Julio Jones, but definitely staying away from him in daily fantasy. And not that you really need me to tell you he's on this list, but this is more of a, me admitting that I was wrong. Nick O'Leary, he put up 6 points in PPR and daily fantasy for a little bit. He's fool's gold. He's not. He's just a run blocking tight end. Don't go with Nick O'Leary. They're going to be throwing to Andre Holmes, some of the other guys, Jordan Matthews. But yeah, they're just. I was wrong. So.
Well, Schroeder and I have a couple of the same guys. Both
Stop
of the Eagles. Hey, you went first. If I'd went first, I'd be able to say that. Jay Ajayi and Alshon Jeffrey, who I loved last week, and he bailed me out with catching a long touchdown, but he was not that heavily involved. Yeah, and going to go up against the tough Broncos defense, you nailed it. Zach Ertz is the only guy to play there. I don't like Kirk Cousins this week. His offensive line is really banged up, and his weapons are very inconsistent, at times non-existent. And playing against Seattle, their defense was pretty leaky a week ago. I don't think that that continues this week. Kirk Cousins is not a great play for me. And I hate Austin Hooper this week. That's a funny guy to pick. He had a nice game a week ago. I don't think that continues. I could see him going catchless against the Panthers, who have very good coverage linebackers. Not the best matchup for him at all. And my sneaky plays of the week. Going to start it off going crazy here with all the buys. Jacoby Brissett against the Texans. I've already said I think they're going to be losing this game, so I think he's going to have to pass to keep up. Doyle's been a nice safety valve for him, and he has that the fantasy cheat code, Konami code, whatever you want to call it. He runs he runs with the football, and he's always a threat to pile up some rushing yards or rush for a touchdown, which really boosts his value. I kind of like Orleans Darkwa this week. I've talked about it. You can run on those Rams, and the Giants really need to run the football because they don't have a ton of guys that they can throw it to. I think he has a chance for some sneaky upside value this week. And Tyler Lockett, love him this week. That Seattle passing game is hitting on all cylinders. He had 8 targets a week ago, caught 6 of them for 121 yards, was held out of the end zone, had to watch Paul Richardson score twice. But he's a really dynamic receiver, very fast. And we saw him used all over the field, saw him used out of the slot some last week. I saw him used on a couple handoffs in the back. I think he had more rushing yards than some of their running backs. So I think he's a good play this week. And Tyler Higbee is my sneaky tight end. We pick on the Browns and the Giants with tight ends the most. I think he's had some sneaky value. Goff's been looking for him in plus matchups, and him or Gerald Everett could either one of them could have a good day. I think Higbee's the best bet though in this situation to have a decent day. Maybe find his way into the end zone. He's a decent DFS start throw, in my opinion.
Yeah, you got my Tyler Lockett one there, Joe. Agree with you there. Got a lot of talent. Good matchup. Josh McCown I'm going with. It's shocking. He's having a pretty nice season. He's the number 9 quarterback right now. Putting up some points, especially as of late. The last few games struggled early. Going up against Buffalo, secondary is a little banged up still. And I think they're going to be behind, or at least be close where they're not going to be like running the ball a lot. And I don't think they're going to run effectively against Buffalo. So I like Josh McCown. On that note, I actually kind of like one of the running backs, even though I was saying cool off on the running backs. But I have to point out that the Buffalo Bills have given a lot of catches to running backs, and Matt Forte has been very good out of the backfield. And I think that's one of the ways you can beat the Bills' defense. Can't run the ball against them, but you may be able to extend the run. And I think Forte could get a lot of catches. More of a PPR sneaky play. Don't really love him in standard, but Forte could get some touches even with a timeshare. And then I got Ed Dickson, who I keep bringing up. Kelvin Benjamin traded. There you go. That's my analysis. I think Wilson comes back. He's going to have some opportunities, usually going very low in daily fantasy. And Jordan Reed getting hurt, a lot of guys, he could be available still. It's possible. So with these bye weeks, I think he's a good play this week against Atlanta.
Rob, you're killing me. I have a couple on the same. My second play is Tyrod Taylor. Look, he's put up 2 very solid weeks in a row. I think the addition of Kelvin Benjamin's only going to help him as the goes along. And I think this game, I could actually see Kelvin Benjamin having a touchdown. Just try to get it. He's going to play limited snaps, that's for sure. But I could see them like trying to force it to show like, hey, we won this trade. For my running back, I can't believe you picked Matt Forte because that's also who I picked.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing. Because I was looking at this list, I was like, there's no way anyone picks Matt Forte. So we're not going to have any redundancies there. But
I thought the same thing.
I picked Matt Forte because maybe it's the Thursday night that I'm thinking of from last year where Matt Forte went to get 30 points against me. But he is catching a lot of passes, and I think he's their best running back right now. I think you could get a decent amount of work against the Bills, and so I like him as a flex play this week. Devin Funchess and Ed Dixon are going to be my wide receiver and tight end picks, respectively. I think they're going to see their usage increase this week, especially against the Atlanta Falcons with the trade of Kelvin Benjamin. So I like their production this week.
Schroeder, a final thought. I like how you had Tyrod Taylor as sneaky, and I had him in the good, like assuming that he's one of the upper players. I kind of thought that was kind of funny. I thought he was, he's going to have a good week. You're like,
top 5 tier 1 quarterback, Tyrod Taylor.
Top 5, Tyrod Taylor. Well, guys, thanks for listening in. Again, please go ahead, like this video and subscribe to Fantasy Football Anonymous, our channel on YouTube. You can also email us at ffanonymous3@gmail.com or tweet us your questions at ffanonymous3. For me, Rob and Joe, thanks for listening. And always remember, stay addicted.